Hey everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of A Plus Productions, where we talk about all things sports, entertainment, and then we bring it all together to chat some sports entertainment. We're your hosts. I'm Boris, and this week I am joined by Matt.
Bonjour! How's everybody doing out there? We hope you're doing well. The playoffs be popping, Boris, by God.
Sure, they are. They be popping, all right. Also joining us this week, all the way from the UK, he is Paul Yorke, as we like to call him over here in them here parts.
I don't know what do be popping, but they certainly do be popping.
Oh, it's going to be one of those episodes. We are doing a BAM Classic episode here where we talk about all things. And, again, we're just going to have fun talking about everything. I don't know what is going on. I feel like everything just sounds so much louder than it normally does. I don't know whether it's the voices in my head or what's going on, but everything's just like crazy loud right now. But we're going to be rolling with it.
Yeah, I believe the technical scientific term is schizophrenia, Boris. I think that is what you are suffering through.
Pretty much. That's how it feels like, man. Matt, it is finally spring, summer-like weather here in Toronto, and I am loving every single fucking second of it.
Yeah, other than every third person you see wearing a Leaf jersey, it's nice. It's spring season is upon us. People are have shed the winter coats in this fine city of Toronto, and it's good to be outside. It's good to be alive when the Leafs are up 2-0 in the playoffs in the second round. First time since 1963, so we were just small kids, Boris, back in the day. No, just kidding. We were born for 20 years, but first time since 1963 that the city of Toronto has had 2-0 leads in the playoffs in the same year. So yeah, people are happy here.
Yeah, I can't wait for all of that to end abruptly. I can't wait for that to happen. It's going to be a good time here in the city when, right when you think that they can actually do it, the reality sets in. And that is that. Matt, real quick, I sent you a thing earlier this week, and it really made me feel old. And that is The Sopranos. The Pine Barrens episode, which to a lot of people is the best episode in the entire series. That's Pine Barrens. It's one of the classic ones, directed by Steve Buscemi. Just everything about that episode is funny. You got Tony Soprano having meat thrown at him. You get people lost in woods. You get a Russian interior designer. Everything awesome. But Matt, that episode was released 25 years ago.
Crazy, man. Time is just accelerating for faster and faster. It is crazy times. And I was in on The Sopranos late. I did not see the show while it was airing. I came to it 5-10 years ago, and it instantly became probably my favorite show ever. I kicked myself for not watching it. But you watched it at the time. So as someone who watched it when it happened, did you know this is going to go down in lore as one of the best episodes of television history?
What's really funny, so a couple things. Number one, just to directly answer your question, I had no fucking idea that it would be one of those universally beloved episodes. I remember watching this episode with my brother, and we were fucking dying and howling. We thought it was hilarious, and we thought it was great. But it's one of those things where you don't realize that everyone is thinking the exact same thing. But what really stood out to me, and I was telling you earlier in the week, was, and this is how much things have changed, right? Can you imagine if The Last of Us or Game of Thrones or whatever that Sunday night show is, or the big show of the week from HBO, right? Here in Canada, it was TMN that showed it. We didn't have HBO. It was TMN that showed things, but they didn't show it at the same time as the USA back then. It was aired a day later. At least season 3. Season 1 and 2 of The Sopranos actually aired 2 or 3 days later than in the USA. So can you imagine, and that just goes to show you, the internet and that instant reaction and social media and all that, how much all of that has changed the game, because if you're not watching things right on top of it, as they happen, you're going to be spoiled. You're going to be left behind. Yes, there was internet back then. I'm not saying that it wasn't around, but it just wasn't as profound, especially in social media or must-watch TV, to the point where, again, The Sopranos, like, you know, it was must-watch TV, but you weren't completely spoiled the next day if watching it here in Canada.
Yeah, it's crazy. It feels like a different world. Feels like a different time. It's like hearing how the NBA finals used to be like broadcast on tape delay. It's like, what is that world, you know?
It is crazy, right? Like, and here we are, man. Like people are asking for shit to air before it even happens nowadays. Like, it's absolutely insane.
Yorkie, were you ever a big Sopranos guy out there in the UK?
It was big over here, but I'm one of the very, very, very few people who've never watched an episode of The Sopranos.
Oh, you got to get in on it, man. You got to give it some time. It's worth it. You'll love it.
I'll be honest. I was intending on watching it, but then someone spoiled the finale, and I'm like, well...
Okay, that's I understand.
Yeah.
I feel you on that one. The finale is ambiguous, though. Like, the part of the fun of it, even knowing what happens now, is kind of you get to decide. It's kind of like a choose your own adventure. Like, what do you think happened in the last episode? So yeah, I would be interested to see you watch it and let us know what you think. But yeah, Boris and I think are on board that it's our favorite and objectively the best television show ever made.
Absolutely. And even like to my point about like how, you know, TV has changed, right? Like even watching something like Doctor Who, like it would air here days, months, weeks, months later than in the UK, right? But now everything is simulcast. If you don't watch things as they happen, you're fucking left behind. Like anime especially, right? Like, man, the fact that we get anime like a few hours after it originally airs in Japan in English now, right? It's fucking insane. TV is just a whole different beast nowadays compared to what it used to be, and that makes me feel old, and it makes me feel like someone who yells at clouds, and I feel like I should be like, you know, fucking angry at the world, but I'm not for the most part.
For the most part. Well, should we get into it, buddy? Should we talk a little sports and then entertainment and then sports entertainment?
Sure, let us do it. Let us start with some sports. Matt hinted at it earlier. We're going to start with some NHL because we are the hosers over here, and York is an honorary hoser. Matt, the Leafs are 2-0 up on the Panthers in the second round of the Eastern semifinals. It's crazy. And I gotta admit, all joking aside, this Leafs team looks fucking insane. Marner and Nylander and some other, even someone, you know, I'm going to say the name. You're allowed to say it. Benoit. He's fucking looking awesome.
Simone Benoit, the Canadian Crippler 2.0. The Leafs are looking really, really good now. The big scare, obviously, with Anthony Stolarz' health, that whole debate, Yorkie, to bring you up to speed on that one. So the Leafs' number one goalie got a shot, a wrist shot or slap shot right off the skull in the first 5 minutes of the game. He stayed in it. And then later on in the game, Florida Panthers noted pest, kind of goon, kind of physical, will toe that line of a dirty player, Sam Bennett, skated by him and kind of gave him the old Kevin Nash flipper punch that Jim Cornette used to talk about, the old forearm shiver. And Anthony Stolarz stayed in the game after that, seemed to be good, and then 10 minutes later was vomiting on the bench and had to leave. And now he's not going to Florida for the next 2 games. And if the Leafs lose, Leaf fans have a public enemy number one. So yeah, this Sam Bennett thing, it's funny. In the city of Toronto, all you hear is people literally calling for his head. One of my friends literally said that they would push him in front of a car. You know what I mean? It's great. People want this guy to die because he maybe hurt Toronto's first goalie, which shows you the level of desperation Toronto has for a Stanley Cup right now. But Boris, just as a casual observer, when you saw that play, did you think disaster? Did you think people are acting like he Todd Bertuzzi'd him in the back of the fucking skull, and it seemed like nothing watching it in fast time.
It seemed like nothing, but then you have to remember, oh, he took a fucking puck straight to the helmet earlier in the game. And, again, coming from myself, who has gone through a shit ton of concussions, oh, man, it's that's a horrible feeling what he must have felt. And look, it wasn't a hard hit, a tap to the back of your head when you're already concussed will put you over the edge, and that's exactly what happened. And it's a very, very unfortunate thing. It's a crazy thing. It's a shitty thing. But yeah, man, it's just it's one of those things where I don't think it was as bad, or the intent wasn't there. It's hockey.
Yeah. Exactly right. Well, Sam Bennett and Anthony Stolarz are friends. Stolarz was the Panthers' backup goalie last year when the Panthers won the Stanley Cup. So they've been teammates. They've been friends for a while. The referee saw the play, did not call a penalty. There has been no suspension. So I do think Leaf fans are overreacting, but that passion is what makes sports. Like I wouldn't begrudge Leaf fans for losing their fucking mind over this, although it is funny to watch the meltdowns happen.
Yeah. So as good as the Leafs are looking, man, let's jump to the West real quickly. Dallas. Holy shit. What happened to Dallas all of a sudden, waking up and just deciding, you know what, we are going to eliminate Colorado by coming back from behind, and we're going to have someone who scores 2 hat tricks back-to-back games. They are looking insanely good right now. And just remember, I called Dallas to do really well and go far this year.
Believe at the start of the year, we both picked Dallas to win the Stanley Cup. And then when they ran into Colorado round 1 with Gabriel Landeskog coming back for Colorado for the first time in 3 years, we're like, ooh, this is going to be tough for Dallas. But now that they've gotten through Colorado with Mikko Rantanen, ex-Colorado Avalanche player, like you said, scoring back-to-back hat tricks and just looking like the best player in hockey, Dallas looks like the fucking toast of the town right now, man. They're up 1-0 on Winnipeg. I think they're a heavy betting favorite at this point over Winnipeg. And yeah, Dallas just looks unbelievable. I heard Mikko Rantanen compared today, because a lot of NHL players you would compare to, like, I don't know, like a demolition derby type car, you know what I mean? But Mikko Rantanen is an F1 Formula One racer. The conditions have to be just right. You have to give him his time and space. And if you slow him down and make him play a physical game, which is why he was not good on Carolina, because Carolina plays a very physical, very different, regimented kind of game. But Dallas gives him more offensive freedom, and obviously it's working out. Like, they know how to control this guy and to harness his great powers. And if the playoffs ended right now, he would be the runaway slam dunk for Conn Smythe playoff MVP. Like, Dallas looks fucking good right now.
Yeah, and look, the Jets, they looked awesome. Like, dare we talk about Perfetti's goal with 2-3 seconds left on Sunday in Game 7 of Round 1. Like, it was crazy. Yes. It come from behind victory, the Winnipeg Jets. Like, that was just incredible on Sunday.
Absolutely. And I think the Jets had a little bit of an emotional letdown, although Dallas had their own crazy comeback too, so you could argue that point. But yeah, with 2 minutes left in Game 7, Winnipeg was down 3-1, had almost no hope, and they pulled their own goalie, scored 2 goals with the goalie pulled, including, like you said, Cole Perfetti with 1.6 seconds left, won that game in double overtime. And now the Winnipeg Jets have the privilege of probably getting stomped by Dallas in round 2. But yeah, it's been a really entertaining playoff, both NHL and NBA, but specifically NHL, I feel is red hot right now. We have Toronto versus Florida, Washington versus Carolina, Vegas versus Edmonton, and Winnipeg versus Dallas, all 4 series producing great hockey. There's really not a stone cold favorite, you'd say, for the Cup. I guess we're both leaning Dallas. We've been saying that all season. We're not going to back off on that now. But yeah, it's pretty wide open, and it's a very entertaining playoff. NHL is firing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in Vegas next week. I should look at tickets.
Oh, interesting. They're going to, I think they're going to be in Edmonton most of next week, though.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah. If I'm there for Game 5, that would be the first game that I can go to. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, no, I would love to go. That would be freaking awesome to take in a game out in Vegas. But yeah, no, the NHL playoffs, honestly, this has been, I'm racking my head trying to think of when I had so much fun watching the NHL playoffs, and it would probably be since like 2011, that insane run that the Kings had when they like fought to even get into the playoffs and then went undefeated until the game 1 of the Stanley Cup, and that was the only game that they lost the entire finals or the entire playoffs.
Yeah, those LA teams. Yeah, I remember those teams fondly. I'm sure you do as well. Yeah, it's definitely one of the better playoffs of my lifetime already, even if the rest of it was boring. There's so much happened in the first round. What do you start to finish the NHL season, especially with the Four Nations Cup, has been just spectacular. It's been really a return to form for the NHL.
Absolutely. The Four Nations Cup really kept things interesting in the middle of the season, right? It was some nice, like high-end hockey in the middle of the season. And I take back anything that you and I said negatively about this tournament. But you know who knew that this entire tournament was going to be good? Yorke knew. Yorke knew that the Four Nations face-off was going to be fucking fantastic.
Noted international hockey guy. Yorke.
Exactly.
I knew fuck all, mate.
Oh, man. All right, let's jump real quick to the NBA. Matt, I got to be 100% honest. My Lakers are gone. I don't give a shit about the playoffs anymore. Talk to me about what's happening.
Rude. Well, Yorkie, I think you can hop in the basketball conversations a little bit more. Okay, so our 4 series are Cleveland versus Indiana, Boston versus the Knicks, Oklahoma City versus Denver, Golden State versus Minnesota. So Indiana is up 2-0 on Cleveland. Shocking, but Cleveland is super banged up. They're missing Darius Garland and Defensive Player of the Year Evan Mobley. So in a way, it's surprising that Indiana's pounding Cleveland, but in a way it's not because Cleveland is so injured. It'll be the second straight year that Indiana faces a heavily injured team in the second round and squeaks into the conference finals if and when that occurs.
Yeah, I like that. But what's crazy is like both like the Knicks and the Pacers are coming back from behind to beat, their opponents, right? The Celtics and the Cavaliers, respectively. Like it's absolutely crazy. Can you imagine a world where the Knicks and the Leafs could possibly win championships?
This is possibly in my entire lifetime the best that either or both of those teams have looked, for sure. The Knicks back-to-back 20-point comebacks to take a 2-0 series lead, winning both games in Boston, which is shocking. Boston reminds me a lot of those Houston Rockets teams. Specifically, it was like 17-18 or 18-19 when they just shot 45 threes, missed 42 of them, and got bounced from the playoffs. Like, Boston lives and dies by the three-pointer, and they are fucking dying by the three-pointer right now.
Yeah. Then you know what? Like a performance like that is going to be what changes the NBA mentality to three-pointers, right? Where coaches are going to say, "Do not fucking take it unless you know you can fucking sink it."
Yeah, it's a tough beat for the analytics bros who just love three-pointers more than anything. But at the end of the day, the best shot is the open shot, the one that you have the most percentage chance of getting points on. You know what I mean? Like, obviously 3 is worth more than 2, but if you only take threes and the other team, which is defensively sound, knows that, you might run into a Boston Celtics situation. Although Boston was an incredible road team this year, the series is not over. I do think the Knicks are obviously in incredible shape right now. The NBA is a little different than the NHL because the NHL doesn't have a clear-cut favorite. I do think the NBA has a clear-cut favorite. The Oklahoma City Thunder still look amazing. They dropped game 1 because of some coaching gaffes down the stretch, but they came back and beat the snot out of Denver last night, like 45-point win. And Oklahoma City looks like they're the team to beat with Canadian Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at the helm.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Oklahoma is the team to beat in the NBA. Let's stick to the NBA. Let's quickly talk about something that we kind of talked about as it was happening last week. That's Greg Popovich, El Jefe, as he wants to be known as. Man, he looks rough.
Yeah. Well, he's a 70-year-old man, 70-plus-year-old man who had a stroke. You know what I mean? Like, the fact that he's up there speaking at all is a miracle. But yes, it was seeing him deliver that press conference. It was time for him to go, for sure. And we wish for the best. literally one of the best coaches in the history of professional sports, definitely in the history of the NBA. But yeah, it was jarring to see him at that press conference. Like, oh fuck, like yeah, this is an old man who's had some serious health trouble.
Yep. All right, real quick, let's talk some North American soccer. The CONCACAF Champions Cup is set. The Vancouver Whitecaps have made it to the finals. They beat Messi's Miami FC to make it to the finals, and they are going to be facing Cruz Azul of Mexico on June the 1st. So that CONCACAF Champions Cup is the equivalent of the UEFA Champions League, which also has had some excellent games. Yorkie, I got to turn this over to you. Let's talk some Champions League, because these games have been fucking awesome this week.
Oh, man. Obviously, representing the UK, Arsenal were in they lost.
Yeah.
Although the manager said some controversial things in the like, we're the best team, and they didn't win. Okay. They had a great match against Real Madrid in the quarterfinals with both legs, which was, if you ever get to see the free kicks from Declan Rice in the quarterfinals from that game, go and check it out. I highly recommend it. But so far, the match of the tournament over both legs is Barcelona against Inter Milan. I've never seen such exciting. I'm not a big fan of Barcelona at all, because obviously they pretty much buy the league, as do Real Madrid. But those two games were just outstanding. When you got the overall score is 7-6, you think, oh, some high scoring games. You got your fullbacks who are high scoring. You got everyone just pushing. It was like, we don't give a fuck about defending. We're just going to score, pretty much. But yeah, the Champions League final is set. It is PSG, Paris Saint-Germain, going against Inter Milan.
Yep. And
I am backing Inter Milan to win.
I think so.
Although I do think PSG are going to be the favourites to win.
Yep. I think so.
And I find it funny that I was going to say, I find it funny that Kylian Mbappe left PSG to go to Real Madrid because he wanted to win Champions League, and they lost in the quarterfinals, and PSG are in the final.
That's what happens, my friend. That's what happens so much. It happens so much in sports. A few years ago, who was that in baseball that left when the Phillies finally won the World Series? Matt, help me. 2019.
Are you thinking of Bryce Harper went to the Phillies from the Nationals?
Yes, that's it.
Yes, Washington came from nowhere to win the World Series, and Bryce Harper was the best national for like 10 years, and then he went to Philly, and then Washington won it. Shades of this Mbappe situation for.
Yep. Absolutely. Let's talk about the Europa League. Athletic Club Bilbao losing 4-1 today against Manchester United. Here's the thing about United. They have to win the UEFA Cup. Have to win if they want to smell European play next year, because right now they are just shitting the bed in the league. That the only way that they are going to snuff and sniff some European play is if they win the Europa Cup. And it's looking like that's going to happen because on the other side, we have Tottenham kind of cleaning house. So there we go.
Man, listen. You've got Man United, who are playing the best football in Europe, in the Europa League, and against Tottenham, who are like the seventh best team in London.
Tottenham,
yeah,
right?
It's Tottenham. The shit. But if you look at the Premier League table, you've got Man United, who are like 16th,
yep,
and Tottenham, who are 17th, and it's like they both had a shocker of a season this season, and obviously the winner of the Europa League gets to go through to Champions League.
Yep.
Which makes it fucking weird if you got a team who was 17th qualifying for the Champions League.
Keeps things honest, right? Like, hey, I understand you get something for winning the Europa Cup. You should get something, but again, like when you're close to relegation and you're playing in the Champions League, that's kind of funny. Like it's a kick in the balls to some other teams. But here we go. That's European football for you.
And then you got Chelsea in the Europa Conference League. And it's like, what's going on?
Yeah,
that's been pretty much a walkover for them. To be fair, I don't think they're going to have trouble in the final though, because I think Real Betis in Spain have been outstanding this season in that competition and in Spain themselves. And what's funny about that is Real Betis have got a winger called Anthony, and if Real Betis win, then Anthony will get 2 winners' medals if Man United win the Europa League, because Anthony is on loan from Man United and he played some of the Europa League and he's played the Conference League. So if Man United win the Europa League and Real Betis win the Conference League, he gets 2 winners' medals.
Yeah, go figure. I love that. I love small things like that. It's like, especially it happens a lot more in baseball when you forget which players actually got a ring because they were part of a roster for half a day or something, right? It's kind of funny how that happens in sports. Let's quickly talk about the English League. Liverpool won. Go fuck yourselves. But let's talk about.
Can we talk about the championship?
Lead. Let's talk some Leeds. So Leeds takes it.
Fuck off. Do not talk about fuck Leeds. Leeds can get fucked, right? Leeds, right?
I knew you were gonna say that because I was gonna.
I don't give a shit, right? No, listen, right? Yeah, Leeds won. Fuck them, right? They finished at 100 points, and the team in second, Burnley, they won. They had 100 points. And the only reason Leeds became champions is because of goal. They scored more goals. Big what they do. Right. The big thing was at the bottom in the relegation spots because my team, Hull, were in the last relegation spot before the last game of the season. And we needed either a win or a draw to stay safe and hope that other results went our way.
Yep.
We were playing a team. We were playing Portsmouth, and there were a couple of others like there were Luton. Luton were in danger. Derby were in danger. Stoke and Preston. All 5 teams could have gone down, whichever results came down that way. We ended up getting a draw against Portsmouth. Luton got battered 5-3 by West Brom, and so that meant we stayed safe on goal difference again. And I felt, but Luton have gone down. That's back-to-back relegations. They got relegated from the Premier League. And it's mad. Because obviously, next season, Hull will be playing Wrexham.
I was going to bring that up. I was going to bring that up. Wrexham has been promoted to the Championship, which is the second level of, it's the equivalent of second division of any other country in England. Wrexham, who started under 5th division a few years ago when Ryan Reynolds bought it for like $2 million. Yeah. It's absolutely freaking nuts. The fact that they're in the Championship. But having said that, reality is going to set in because the jump from 3rd division to 2nd division is huge. Be playing in the Championship in England is freaking huge, and it's hard to stay up. And let's see what happens. Like, what do you think? Like, realistically, how do you think Wrexham? I don't think they're going to get promoted. I think they're going to stay in the Championship, but you never know, man.
Big eye up. They're in for an eye opener. I know that
they are. That's it.
If they think they can spend their way out of the Championship, they've got another thing coming, because you've got the teams that have come down: Ipswich, Southampton, Leicester. They're going to have the money of the Premier League behind them because they get parachute payments for being relegated. So you get 3 years of like 60, 70 odd million a year. They've got that money coming guaranteed unless they go back up again. the bridge between the Premier League and the Championship is vast. And they brought some new rules in just recently, saying you can only spend a percentage of money. So if Ryan Reynolds and Ron McElhenney thought, oh, we'll just throw money at the thing, they're not gonna be allowed to do that. Same with Birmingham. Birmingham just came up. Birmingham have just beat the League One record, 111 points so far for the season, which is a record number of points. They only did that because they spent a vast amount of money in League One. I've never known anyone spend 15 million on one player in League One. That's unheard of. But they did it. And obviously that's helped them win. They pretty much bought League One. And I can see I'm waffling on a bit now, so...
Exactly. So for all of those who watch the reality shows and stuff, next season is going to be very, very interesting, or a few seasons from now, especially because in the championship, as Yorkie just said, they're in for a real awakening. The championship is a whole different beast for so many reasons. Matt, is this all foreign sounding to you?
I've played enough FIFA that I kind of know what you're driving at, and I did watch a little bit of Welcome to Wrexham. I've heard that Deadpool FC, Always Sunny FC, is up in the second tier of English football, I should say, UK football. But
no, you're right. English football. Very good. Thank you for that distinction. I mean, the little bit that I know, I don't really have a club team. I cheer for Canada in the World Cup. So also England in the way that I cheer for the Maple Leafs and the Cubs and the Red Sox back in the day. Hull City is the official A+ sports team other than Wrexham, which is the public team. But yeah, go Hull City, go Yorkie.
Yep.
Fuck Leeds.
A lot of my friends, they're expatriates, and they all follow Leeds, and I just love making fun of them. Because Leeds, famously just have been shit for a while, right? Fuck Leeds. All right, let us jump to. I think it's time to jump to some. Anyone have something?
I have one minor sports thing that we could talk about quickly. Duke Lesnar, son of Brock Lesnar, is going to the WHL, the Medicine Hat Tigers. We could see Duke Lesnar playing in the NHL in 5-10 years if he sticks with it. He is officially in the young man's league, the minor hockey league, the Western Hockey League. Duke Lesnar, shout out to Brock Lesnar. Saskatchewan boy.
I didn't realize he had two. I thought you only had one kid.
Yeah, he has his daughter who's like a champion shot putter who has apparently expressed interest in going to the WWE when her collegiate career is over. But yeah, so he has the daughter who's a champion shot putter, and he has a son who could be an NHL player one day. We shall see.
Cool.
Yep. All right. Let us jump to some entertainment. Matt, what you got for us?
Two things that I've been watching. So the rehearsal remains the craziest thing on television.
Okay,
I think episode 2.
Did you watch this?
Have you seen it now, Boris?
Yes. Oh my God.
Oh my God. So yeah. Episode 2 of the rehearsal was possibly the funniest thing, in my opinion, that Nathan Fielder's done. I was laughing that entire show. Episode 3 of the rehearsal is definitely the craziest thing he's ever done. I don't even know what to compare that to. I have never seen a piece of entertainment like that. It is like David Lynch doing comedy. It's the craziest, most mind-bending, weirdest shit. Are you familiar, Yorkie, with Nathan Fielder and Nathan For You in the rehearsal and his body of work?
I will be honest, this is the very first time I'm ever hearing of the rehearsal.
Interesting.
Yeah,
so
a lot of people here haven't heard of it. Like, let's be honest on that one.
Nathan Fielder is a Canadian comedian. He got his start on the Canadian news show. This hour has 22 minutes. And then got a show for, I think it was Comedy Central back in the day, which was Nathan For You. And the plot of Nathan For You is basically this guy helps struggling businesses with a weird-ass funny idea. He helps struggling businesses to kind of take the next step and be successful. And the rehearsal is that, but for people. He helps struggling people take the next step in their life. But instead of like it being like 10-minute segments. It's an entire season. Season 2 of The Rehearsal is Nathan Fielder trying to figure out why plane crashes happen, and specifically if captains not listening to their co-pilots is part of the reason why, and if so, how co-pilots can become more assertive. And that sounds like, okay, that what, but like going from that to the shit that he does it's truly outrageous comedy, like nothing I've ever seen in my life. He goes so far off the beaten path of his goal, doing the most elaborate, crazy things because HBO has millions of dollars for him, and he just wastes their money on the craziest shit. You should look up The Rehearsal, man. I think you might love it. You might hate it, and you might be like, what the fuck are my friends telling me to watch? But this is crazy shit, this show.
I basically masturbated in the plane while trying to fly it, is a quote from
and that was like
episode.
The 6th craziest thing of the episode.
Oh, this show is absolutely just fucking bonkers.
Nathan Fielder, The Rehearsal, Yorkie, you got to check it out. I especially going in cold with no context for who Nathan Fielder is and kind of what his MO has been. It would be hilarious to see your reaction to this show.
I have a watch of it. All right, Matt, what else do you got for us?
Our boy Conan O'Brien, Boris. We're Conan fans. His show came back. Conan O'Brien Must Go. I definitely want to check. I have not checked it out, but I just wanted to shout out Conan O'Brien. He also got the Mark Twain Prize, which is really cool. I try to watch that on Netflix every year. I have yet to see that as well. But yeah, Conan O'Brien out there doing things, hosted the Oscars. It was a huge success. We love Conan on this show. Shout out Tall Red King, Ginger King.
And fuck you, Jay Leno. I will never forgive Jay Leno for what happened on NBC with the Conan.
Fair.
All hail the interrupter.
Exactly. Oh man, I miss Conan. I miss watching Conan on TV, but his stuff outside of since he left TBS it's been great. His podcasts have been great. Everything's been. Conan is just one of those just naturally funny motherfuckers.
Absolutely legend. His resume is stellar. SNL in some of the golden years of SNL with Dana Carvey and Dennis Miller doing Weekend Update and stuff. Conan was an SNL writer. Then he became a Simpsons writer in season 4 and 5, I think it was, which are like arguably the 2 best seasons, like right in the sweet spot of the heart of the best show ever on television. Then he became a talk show host and kind of redefined the genre in his own way, similar to what David Letterman did before him. And a lot of comedians, John Mulaney, Bill Hader, talk about how influential Conan was on them. And now he's 60 years old. He's doing whatever he wants, doing his own thing, has a weekly podcast that is great. Yeah, I love Conan. I have so much time for Conan. Yep,
agreed. Same here. He's someone that I like just always gravitated towards. I thought his late night show was absolutely gold. You just saw the most raunchy, weird shit, and it was just my type of humor. Like Masturbating Bear. Where can you go wrong with Masturbating Bear and other gigs?
He would just let people cook, like Norm Macdonald telling the moth joke. You know, he just would let everyone cook. And like, it was, Conan O'Brien. This is where Amy Poehler got her start, really. Like, a lot of talented people, if you look back, were doing sketches on that show. And Norm Macdonald's arguably best work happened on that show. Yeah, Conan is just a gem, just a legend.
Really is. All right, we talked some sports, we talked some entertainment, and now it is time to talk some sports entertainment. We are going to finish things off by previewing Backlash. So before we get to that, let's talk about what the next week is going to look like. So obviously you're listening to this show. Thank you so much for doing that. We also will have a Backlash review show. Dax and I are going to be doing that at some point Sunday morning, early afternoon. So stay tuned for that. And then next week, Matt's going to be taking over A Plus Productions for me because I am going to be either drunk, murdered, married, or something while I'm in Vegas. I don't know. Or all the above. Could be all the above. I don't know yet.
in a detention center in El Salvador?
Exactly.
Which actually would... Yeah.
Hey,
but were you not born in El Salvador? You grew back home.
I am from El Salvador. It's funny. The half the guards there and half the inmates there are like my family, probably.
Oh no. Yeah. So yeah, on Thursday we'll be doing, possibly it might just be me reading feedback. I don't know, Yorkie, if you want to be involved as well, but we'll figure something out for the Thursday show next week. But yes, Backlash review. I will not be watching. Boris, you and Dax and Yorkie can take care.
Matt. That's all right. All right.
Hey.
Let's before we talk some WWE and Backlash specifically, let's talk some AEW. For the past few weeks, we've been talking about how AEW has just been feeling more like AEW of old, and for the most part, it has been. There's still some stuff that baffles my mind, and honestly, what's hurting the show and what's hurting AEW the most is the world title scene. Matt, thoughts on that?
Yeah. I like John Moxley. I want to give this Death Riders a chance and approach it objectively and fairly, but it's the worst thing on the show. Every fan is sick of it. It's inexplicable that it hasn't ended yet. They should have pulled the cord a number of times. I know it's pretty clear they want to build to Ospreay versus Moxley, and Ospreay wins the title, and Ospreay triumphantly takes the belt to Forbidden Door in London. Sure seems like that's what they want to do, but it's a slog getting there. I like everything else happening on the show, though. I really liked MJF and the Hurt Business this week. I think the women's division is hotter than it's been figuratively and literally in a long time. The women's division is ripping off good matches. I like everything happening in AEW until we get to the main event.
Yeah. Hard disagree on the Hurt Business. Still the second worst thing that's happening on AEW right now. Again, it's MJF has become so insignificant to me. I do not give a shit what that person does on my screen anymore, and I can't believe it's gone to that point.
Damn, Yorkie, you got to be the swing vote on this. How are you feeling about the MJF trying to join the Hurt Business gimmick?
I couldn't give a fuck, to be
fair. Suck it, Matt! Suck it!
Sorry, I'll be honest. I've not been watching.
There you go, even better.
I've not been watching. I've been reading the stuff. I've caught clips here, there, and everywhere. But since the whole title in the briefcase thing, I thought, no, I can't be arsed. I've checked out.
No, I understand. I
do think I have an inkling of where that storyline is going. I think it's obviously they're doing something next week, and he's going to get the thumbs down again. I hope it isn't just leading to a MJF versus Cedric Alexander thing.
Yeah, that's what I think is going to happen. They're going to allow a new member, and look, lo and behold, it's Cedric Alexander, because I think they have under a week until they can start appearing places. I think since the last batch of releases, I think we're at the 80-something day at this point. So Cedric Alexander, I'm sure, is just a ass hair away from AEW at this point.
I mean, they've already announced. Have you seen the Good Brothers have turned up somewhere? They've just signed with.
So the Good
New
Brothers
Japan.
Are actually going to be appearing this weekend at Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, but they've just signed with New Japan as well. They've re-signed with New Japan.
There you go.
It's the Good Brothers and the Bucks against Mel and
for
the War Dogs.
Yeah, the California
New Japan
show.
Strong.
Yeah,
Resurgence.
Yeah, that's a thing. Good
nice,
Brothers is still a thing.
AEW.
So suck it, man. No one cares about MJF.
I'm counting that as a no vote. He's not even watching.
No. The fact he doesn't watch it proves my point even more.
Whatever. It's,
Look, Blaine is on my side.
That's how you know you're right. No, shout out Blaine, our favorite listener here at A+. But no, it's I mean, it is what it is, man. It's wrestling. It's subjective. I love MJF still.
Look,
I'm still on the train.
Here's the thing, Matt, and then this is the thing I love about wrestling, right? Like you and I, we're adults, apparently. right? Somewhat, some would say. But like we love having these debates, right? And especially offline when we're not recording. Sometimes we have some great back and forth about wrestling and stuff like that. And I just love being able to do that. And right now, I just find that so many fandoms are so fucking toxic. It is unfucking believable. And like it makes me just not want to do anything and just like live my life in a van down by the river. Like it just I just can't right now with so many fandoms. So many fandoms are so fucking toxic. Like just wait until the next episode of It's Canon Podcast, because I'm going to rip into the Last of Us fandom.
No. Are they're going full Star Wars, full WWE fans? Yeah, we're very lucky here at A+ to have like such a chill, thoughtful fan base for the most part.
Yeah, honestly, the Last of Us fandom right now is Gamergate fan, like Red Pill, Gamergate, like just here. Here's Andrew Tate for your enjoyment.
Gross. Okay, let's move on. No Andrew Tate talk on this podcast. It's my one rule.
I was gonna do a hard 15 on why I agree with. No, I'm joking. So let's talk about the Pope.
Well, obviously, less controversial. Yeah, American Pope, Chicago Pope. Holy fuck, Boris! It's
D'Angelo Dinero, whatever his name is. I've forgotten his. D'Angelo.
I believe his name is Dennis Farina. He's Chicago Pope.
Hey, I bless you.
That's funny. No, but hey, the new Pope was just shit talking JD Vance on Twitter like a week ago. But still, that's how you know he's a good guy and a man of God. I support the new Pope.
Oh, the world is so fucked up right now. I just love how fucked up the world is on so many levels. Let's talk some more AEW.
Right, here's my beef with AEW at the moment. Right? What annoys me is they've got arguably one of the best wrestlers because they claim to be the wrestling company.
Max Caster, yes, go on.
Yeah, obviously, Kim Blaine's favorite wrestler. No, they claim to be the pro wrestling company, not the sports entertainment, the pro wrestling company. And yet they've got arguably one of the best wrestlers in the world coming out on TV every week just saying, bitch. And I'm like, the fuck's that shit? Yep. And he's holding a title that means fuck all now. Mm. Same with Kenny. That title means, I know the lead, obviously they have to be leading up to Kenny Okada 17 or whatever it is they're up to at the moment. But they need to do something with him because Okada's stock for me has gone down since he's been into AEW, and it's that kind of shit that pisses me off.
Yeah,
because
that's constantly what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that from a lot of people who like genuinely like want AEW to succeed. It's just they kind of feel bad in the position on some of these people. What gets to me with AEW sometimes is like they sound like a broken record, and they sound like all they do. Not all they do, but what they do often is just throw slogans. We're the best wrestle, or sickos, or this and that, whatever is going to get Ryan from Pro Wrestling Tees to put on a t-shirt. Like sometimes that's all they utter. And that's like, I loved yesterday's Hangman, Adam Page, and Will Ospreay promo. But when they started doing like the catchphrases of AEW and stuff, I'm just like, okay, just let's keep moving on. If I ever hear anyone bitch and complain about WWE saying WWE Universe or those WWEisms, like just I'm gonna remind them about this, right? Like just move on. Get your own sandwich. Matt, you there? You're still there?
He's getting his own sandwich.
I'm here. I'm getting my own sandwich. No, what you guys saying it's totally correct. The way they've used Okada has been less than satisfying. I like that they kind of gave him a character, but it's been the same one beat for 9 months now. Like, you need a little more than just saying bitch. Hopefully, hopefully Okada, I guess you'd have him beat Kenny Omega and then go on to greater things, but I don't even know. Maybe the best move is to get the title off him and then push him to a main event level. Feels like they're going to unite those titles, unify the international and continental titles. Hopefully don't call it intercontinental title because that's so obvious, but kind of feels like obviously they're going to unite the titles and get one out of the way. But yeah, they're misusing Okada, and that's such a great call, Boris. It's like, yeah, they're dumb slogans. We're the best wrestle is a fucking terrible slogan. It's so dumb.
Where the big boys play.
Like it's nothing. It's just absolutely nothing.
Right?
Yeah. It's sometimes Tony Khan tries to like reference something and make a joke that only Tony Khan gets, and he Barry Horowitzes himself on the back, and like it's very similar to a lot of his booking decisions. But yeah, we're the best wrestlers. Terrible slogan. Like, I still love AEW, but objectively terrible.
You hit the nail on the head, and I'm noticing this more and more about AEW, and it makes me a little concerned. You just said he makes a lot of jokes that only he will understand. He does stuff in booking that only he will understand, that only he will enjoy. Matt, who does that sound like to you?
Sounds a little bit like Vinnie Mac, Vince McMahon to me, Boris. Is that what you're driving at?
That's what I'm driving at. Like, it's kind of funny. Like, what, 5 years in, and I'm not saying that he is Vince, right? He's not. I'm not even going to make any joke or anything, but it's interesting to kind of see like some of the similarities that are starting to arise with Tony Khan.
Obviously, he's been known to do some rewrites on the fly as well.
Yep.
True.
Yep. Absolutely.
True. At the end of the day, it's great that AEW exists, and it's great that it's run by a wrestling fan who does respect the history of wrestling and wants the business of wrestling to succeed. But all bookers in the history of wrestling have needed to be cycled in and out. Vince McMahon himself got a lot of help at various places in WWE's history, and when he was flying the ship solo, it was fucking terrible. Generally speaking, other than the 80s when they rose to prominence. But from that point, anytime it was just Vince completely going off his own whims, wrestling suffered greatly. And yeah, Tony Khan, after 5-6 years of running this thing, and every fan says this, and that's why it's so frustrating that it doesn't happen, but he really could stand to have a 1A booker at this point.
Well, funny you say that, because it looks like they could, because obviously you heard the rumors maybe a certain Canadian who runs a company that you're going to go see, Boris, was apparently backstage at AEW.
Here's the thing about that person. We're referring to Scott D'Amore, who used to help run TNA, and right now is doing his thing, Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. And this happens with a lot of bookers. This is one of the major issues with Bischoff and Russo and others, is that, you know, they need to be the voice. And if they're not, things go sideways.
Yep, it's the old story about Bill Watts coming in to help WWE when they were at arguably their lowest in company history in 1995. Booked 1 or 2 shows. Vince constantly had his fingers in the pie, and Bill Watts told him there's only room for one Titan in Titan Sports, and that's you. And he left. And that's the thing. Some people need to be not only the head chef, but the only body in the kitchen.
Kevin Sullivan, right? When he was brought in 2000 to WCW, right? Like, not only did the younger talent fear for their careers, but the older talent, the people who had creative say, just butted heads with him constantly.
Speaking of WCW, have you noticed that AEW has been on the air longer than WCW Nitro was?
Yep. I love that. Fuck, I love that.
Yeah, it's a great little stat. Good little trivia stat. Man, they got to do wrestling trivia here in Toronto again. It's been forever since they've done that.
Oh, shout out WWE Trivia TO. I actually I might have in on a trivia hosting gig, so I could probably try to do a wrestling night or two at that place Salto down the street, Boris.
Oh, can't be.
Oh yeah, there you go. There you go. there was, and again, it goes without saying that we want AEW to do well. They have done nothing but good for the industry. They've given people bigger paychecks. They've opened up the pocketbooks, and they've made WWE creative again. So again, we don't want them to fail, but there's just certain things, and you know, we talk realistic here on A Plus Productions and A Plus Wrestling. So that is that. All right, gentlemen, let us jump to what is happening this Saturday. And that is the show that Matt's been waiting for his entire life, and that is WWE Backlash. Some people say that this feels rushed. Some people say that this card feels weird. Some people are saying that this is lackluster. Some people, like every month that there's a PLE, bitch and complain that there's only 5 or 6 matches on the card. I don't really, whatever. It is what it is. Am I looking forward to it? I'm not even going to watch it live because I'm going to be down at Maple Leaf Gardens at the Mattamy Center watching some Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling and covering that for Slam Wrestling over at slamwrestling.com. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So I'm not going to be watching Backlash until I get back from that. But it hasn't been the worst build-up. Some of the matches, here's the thing. I think that this is one of those pay-per-views, PLEs, whatever you want to call it, that is going to be pure setup for what's going to happen down the road. Like, I do feel like the Gunther-Pat McAfee match, there's a lot of rumors that Goldberg is going to make an appearance to set up the eventual retirement match later down the summer with Gunther.
Yep, I agree.
So, yeah, we'll see. All right, real quick, let us run through the card, give our predictions, and then we're going to end the show with some feedback because we got quite a bit of feedback this week. So a match that I'm actually really looking forward to, and I think will be the match of the night, and that is for the WWE Intercontinental Championship, Dominic Mysterio versus Penta. Matt.
Ooh. This is intriguing. This is very intriguing. Like, all of the matches actually could be pretty good. This could end up being one of those shows that is kind of slept on going in and ends up being very, very good in the ring. But yeah, this is a huge spot for Dominic Mysterio coming in as champion against a very talented Pentagon Junior. I do feel like this is kind of the biggest match of Dominic's career.
Although it happened a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, every match moving forward is going to be the biggest of his career. But I think he's getting that face reaction every time he comes out. I think it's one of those inevitable things. And Matt disagreed with you so much, Yorkie, that he just fucking ran away.
Yeah, he's back.
But yeah, I think this match is going to steal the show. Having said that, it sucks because I want Penta to win. I feel Penta should win. I have a feeling that something's going to happen where Penta loses cheaply, but I'm going to have to go with Dominic Mysterio retaining. And it sucks because I don't want them to. Look, when the inevitable of Dom winning happens, every fucking internet fan is going to say, WWE buried Penta. Penta's done.
You think not, but I think of the bigger picture, SummerSlam, Dominic versus Finn, it has to happen.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's burying Penta per se. I think we obviously see Matt's favorite wrestler of all time, El Grande Americano, with 2 sugars and cream.
Current speed champion of WWE, by the way.
Is he?
Yep.
I didn't know that. I couldn't tell you who the last speed champion was. Who did he beat?
No idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I do think it is like exactly what you said. It is just going to be building up towards. Is there another PLE before SummerSlam?
Yeah, Money in the Bank.
Oh yeah,
that's in June in LA at the Intuitive.
I've got some theories about that as well.
We'll talk about that the closer we get. So you're going with Dominic. Yeah. I'm going with Dominic.
Yeah, I'm going with Dominic.
Matt.
No.
Yeah, Dominic sweep. It's too early to take the belt off him. I think Pentagon with the Intercontinental title makes sense, but it's not going to happen right away. It's too early to take the belt off Dominic. He will hold it till SummerSlam, like Yorkie said. Agreed. Clean sweep for Dominic here.
Yep. Just because
I think we should go with.
Just because Penta loses does not mean he is buried. Just remember that. More on that later this weekend when the inevitable does happen. Let's move to the next match. It's a match that Matt has been frothing for. That's Gunther versus Pat McAfee.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Pat McAfee guy. I gave him the benefit of the doubt until he just fucking excoriated Canada in Canada, and then I was like, well, fuck this absolute clown. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to try my hardest to not hold a grudge against him forever on that one. It'll be entertaining, right? Pat McAfee, other than the abomination he had with Vince McMahon, which was more because Vince McMahon is fucking ancient, 1 foot in the grave. Other than that, he's had nothing but good matches. So Gunther can have a good match against... Yeah, his first ever match against Adam Cole was fucking really good, if not great, solid. He's a good wrestler. He's an athletic guy, obviously. They're going to work really hard. They're going to produce a good match. Gunther could have a good match with a fucking inanimate object, inanimate carbon rod versus Gunther, 5 stars in the Tokyo Dome. So I'm sure it'll be good, but I'm not excited for it. I might go back and watch it, maybe, if I hear it's excellent.
I'm going to tell you it's the best match ever, just so you have to watch it regardless.
Fucker. You.
Yorkie, what do you think?
I think we are going to be hearing the music of a gentleman you mentioned earlier, Mr. Goldberg, and that will distract Gunther. However, it will not deter him from the win. I do think Gunther will retain his stature as all-round badass. However, what Matt said about Gunther being able to have a match with a broomstick is pretty factually correct. However, could he bring a good match out of Goldberg?
Is Goldberg better than a broom? That's a fair question.
The real question. That's the real question.
The answer is there. The answer is no. A broom, that would be insulting to all brooms. But what will really upset me is if Goldberg goes against tradition and doesn't go out on his back. That will piss me off somewhat rotten.
Fuck. That scares me. That would piss me off.
Yeah.
Like legit.
Forget all your Penta rage. Forget your Penta rage. We want the Gunther rage.
Yeah.
Who are you picking that anyway?
Matt, who do you got? Dude, you never actually gave a pick for that.
I'm sad to say I do think McAfee is going to win. I think they're going to go the full 9. Like you said, Goldberg's probably showing up. I think he's going to cost young Gunther the match. McAfee gets a win. How's this for a storyline? If Gunther loses every match going up to his match against Goldberg, beats Goldberg, and then breaks Goldberg's record of 156-0 or whatever it is, like they start counting after Gunther beats Goldberg and he ends up not losing again until he passes Goldberg's streak. I would do that if I were Triple H booking this feud.
I would like that. The only issue is the meltdown the internet wrestling community would have leading up to that match.
Fair. Well, they might be melting down because I do think Pat Mac is winning.
I love a good meltdown. I love a good meltdown with the fandoms. So bring it on.
I like Matt's idea, but only if Ludwig Kaiser comes out with the scoreboard going 65 and no.
Love it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Who's your pick, Boris?
I'm going to have to go with Gunther. I think Gunther is going to win. As much as I want Matt's thing to come true, I think Gunther is going to win. He needs that. He doesn't. I don't know. I don't think it's safe to say he needs it. Here I am disagreeing with myself. Jesus Christ, I need some sleep. But yeah, I think Gunther's going to win. So Yorkie, you and I say Gunther. Matt says Pat McAfee. All right, the next match is for the U.S. title, and it is a fatal 4-way match. Your champion, Jacob Fatu, is going up against Drew McIntyre, LA Knight, and Damian Priest. I don't see a world where Jacob Fatu doesn't win.
Yeah, if it's too early to take the belt off Dominic, double, triple, quadruple that for Jacob Fatu. Like, I could see a world where Penta beats Dominic. They might do that. I cannot see any universe where Jacob Fatu loses this match, nor should he. Fatu easily wins.
Are they leading up to a title match between Jacob and Solo at SummerSlam?
That's what I'm assuming is the plan for SummerSlam. Right, I know that at some point they were going to do that at WrestleMania, but they felt confident that they didn't have to. So I can for sure see that happening at SummerSlam.
Do you know what I love the way Nick Aldis caught him out straight away. He was like, "No, you're fucking him up," and Solo's like, "Is it that obvious?"
Yeah,
he's like, "Yeah."
Nick Aldis has been awesome on TV. Like, I'm really, really just enjoying everything he's doing on WWE TV. All right, so I think we're all... Matt, anything to add on that one?
No, I do have high hopes for this match in the ring. I think Drew McIntyre especially, but all four guys are pretty good at this point. And WWE always pays close attention, gives a lot of care to these big multi-man matches lately. Dating back even to the Vince McMahon era with some of the Fatal 4-Ways we saw. The one with like KO, Sami Zayn, Cesaro, and Miz stands out in my mind. There was like a 5-way match with Samoa Joe and Braun and Brock and a couple guys that really stands out in my mind as well. Although not that much because I forgot some of the guys in it. Roman was in it. There was
a Fatal 4-Way at SummerSlam. It was Samoa Joe, Braun Strowman, Brock Lesnar, and Roman Reigns.
Okay, yeah, there it is. That was the one I was thinking of probably. I remember, yeah, like people going out in an ambulance in that match, and it was Brock, I believe, and it was absolutely fucking incredible. And in NXT, the Obafemi triple threats have all been absolute bangers. Like, yeah, WWE wants these Fatal 4-Way, these multi-man matches to be really, really good, and I feel like this is going to be no exception.
Agreed 100%. All right, let us move on to the Women's Intercontinental Championship match. Your champion, Lyra Valkyria, going up against Becky Lynch. Yorkie, who do you think is going to come out IC champ?
Becky Lynch.
Yeah, I think so too.
The building to what seems like Becky and Bayley.
Yeah.
And I think is Becky a Grand Slam champion like Bayley is, or am I?
I think so. She's won everything, even the tag team at this point, right?
So. But she hasn't won one of these secondary belts. She won the NXT title. She hasn't won one of these secondary belts, right?
Neither has Bayley.
Well, but I mean, of all the titles that were available before these mid-card titles they both were the same level title-wise. They both won the same number of things. So,
yep.
I think obviously if Becky wins, that'll be like I've got one on you, and taken the Intercontinental title, and then Bayley will want it. And that's did you see? Right, sorry, just to go on a tangent. Did you see the clip of Raw recap with not Sam or whatever his name is, and Becky Lynch this past Monday?
Oh, the whole Becky bitching about people saying that like she's basically Hogan. No. Basically, she took a stab at Mercedes Moné. Paying $100 to chat with her.
Yeah, because obviously Mercedes Moné has done this whole thing about you can text with me for $100, and then Becky's like, hey, she's probably on the phone to her friend. She paid her $100 just to text her friend.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's funny. Yeah, that's just a funny joke to your friend. I feel like that's the kind of shot that we take at each other on this podcast, not like a "fuck you, Mercedes" thing. But that's a great line for.
But she nearly cracked up afterwards. It was so funny. If you get a chance to see it, I'll try and find it and post it on the group page because it is quite funny.
It was a good one.
Yeah, please do.
I agree with you, York. I think Becky Lynch is going to win, and this is going to set up a summer program with Bayley. Matt, what are you thinking?
I think I agree with you fellas, but the only problem is I feel the same about Lyra that I do about Dominic and Jacob Fatu. Like, it's a little too early to take this belt off her, in my opinion.
Hold on. No, it's not. Because if you can take the belt off Chelsea Green, you can take the belt off Lyra.
Fair. But that was a mistake too, right? Like, you're right. If you can do the one, you can do the other, but they shouldn't have fucking taken the belt off Chelsea. That was a mistake as well, in my opinion. So, I don't know. I think it's, obviously at some point Lyra will get a big win over Becky, and Becky, I guess, needs to reestablish herself. I'm sure they'll have a very good match. It's not the end of the world, but I hate to see Lyra take a huge L like this. But yeah, I do agree. Becky's probably winning.
Yeah. Unfortunately, but we'll see. But again, look, I think that a summer program with Bayley should be good, especially for a secondary title. This leads us to the main event, which just so happens to be for the undisputed WWE Championship. John Cena versus Randy Orton. Matt, what you thinking?
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I kind of am intrigued by this one. Heel Cena versus face Orton is a fun spin to put on it. It'll be interesting to see how much Cena has left in the tank versus a guy like Randy Orton. I love Randy Orton's
we'll
work.
See how much he has left in the tank, right? Like,
yeah,
that's.
I mean, it could be a disaster. It could be. We've seen Orton, who I've always liked and always thought is a great wrestler. If every wrestler on the planet says this guy's a great wrestler, then if you're a fan and you say he's boring or he sucks, you're wrong. And you should kind of try to figure out what it is that he's doing that all the people who are actually in the business think this is the best guy I've ever been in the ring with. You know what I mean? Like, at some point they're right and you're a hater. And I feel like Randy Orton is the perfect example of that. Having said that, Randy Orton has had shit matches before. And in the main event of pay-per-views, he's had dog shit matches. The Big Show one comes to mind, but there are a few on that list. So I am cautiously optimistic for this one. I think it's very obvious that John Cena wins, and we shall go from there.
Yorkie?
Oh, yeah, I agree. I do believe Cena wins. It's all going to build up to the next.
Do we see Cody coming back? Anyone feel like Cody's coming back? Or no. I feel that we don't need him back just yet. I think that we are fine without him. I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean that just let Cena do his thing.
Yeah. I gave a theory to Matt about the next PLE. I won't say anything until then. Yeah, I think Cena wins. It's going to be. I think it'll be a match for the ages, though. I do think they're going to want to put everything out there, just to say, look, we've been fighting for 25 years.
Yeah,
20 years plus. Yep. We could still do it.
Agreed.
And this is a fantasy booking idea that a couple people have come out with, but I do think it's probably going to happen. What was the match? Was it Night of Champions or maybe a SummerSlam match they had where Randy intentionally got himself disqualified when it was clear that he couldn't beat Cena? I think that's going to be the finish to this match.
I think so, too.
Yes, exactly.
Like I remember it perfectly. Randy's on the ground. John Cena's over him. Randy just punches the ref from the ground, and that was the DQ. It was Night of Champions a few years ago.
There you go.
So you think Randy's going to win?
By disqualification, yes. So yeah, that's fair. Great point. John Cena will leave with the title, but Randy Orton, that is my pick, is going to win by disqualification. It's almost too obvious an idea, but I feel like WWE loves to bring those things back, to reference their own history, and I think that's coming. So Randy Orton wins by DQ. John Cena retains title is my official prediction.
I co-side with Matt to be 100% on this one. I think that is going to happen. They're going to redo that finish just to shit on, just remember, Cena said that he is going to make wrestling boring. He is not going to try, yada, yada, yada. So I think that's a kind of a logical finish here. There you go, Matt. You see? Backlash doesn't seem too bad, does it?
Yeah, no, it'll be fine. I don't know. I just I let my Netflix expire, and I just don't want to re-up for this show. I'll be back on board soon to watch Conan, if nothing else.
Could I put a hypothetical out there? I know. Okay.
Of course.
No, obviously, we've still got SmackDown to go.
Yep.
And I still think they possibly. I'm not going to say they are, but what if they add one more match to Backlash?
What would that be?
that being Seth and Braun versus Sammy and Punk.
I think it's too early for that. I think it's still too early for that match. Even for the heels to go over, I think they're letting that boil into the summer. Not Slam. I think Money in the Bank.
Quick question. Are they not doing Logan versus Jay?
Yeah, what happened to that? I was going to ask before we signed off, Boris. Do you know why they aren't doing it? Are they just holding it off for Money in the Bank as well, or what's the deal?
I think they're just holding off. I think they're just letting that story brew. Because after Raw went off the air, once the whole Seth and Punk came back and all of that, once Raw went off the air, Logan Paul did attack Jay.
Yeah, one of those off-air angles like they did a couple times with Kevin Owens and various people. But I saw that occurred. So I guess they're holding off. But I would think if they had a match, it would be that Uso versus Logan, which would be weird to add that on SmackDown, but they can do whatever the fuck they want. Exactly. But I agree with you. Yeah, it's WWE. You never know with WWE, right? 5 matches. Sure. Why not? Well, I can see them adding a 6, but 5? Sure. Why not? All right, gentlemen, let us jump to feedback before we go. We are going to, I'm going to just kind of scroll down. Here we are. Blaine, we're going to start with Blaine, but just remember you can be part of the conversation. We love chatting. We love feedback. Again, this show is for you. We just like to chat about sports, entertainment, and wrestling. And just remember that in a few weeks, you're going to be finding out more about where you'll be able to listen to A+ Wrestling specifically. But before that, the best place to join the conversation is by going to facebook.com and searching for the group A+ Productions. All right, we're going to start with Blaine. Blaine, the trend of strong women's matches continues with Io versus Roxanne on Raw and Jordan versus Julia on NXT, though some very frightening spots in that one. Not a great go-home episode before Backlash, but the last 2 weeks made up for it and definitely drew me in. I have to give Pat McAfee his props for that promo, though I am still rooting for Gunther for as long as he keeps referring to Cole as the GOAT. Apparently, perfect attendance makes you the greatest announcer of all time. But that aside, it was a solid effort. The promo was good, but I really appreciated the attention to detail, especially near the end when McAfee was clearly showing signs of self-doubt, intimidation, and fear. It even looked like his lip quivered a bit when Gunther got close to him. That match needs to be in Annihilation, though. Pat can get a couple of hope spots in, but I want to see the Brock 2.0. If he dies, he dies. Kill anything. That moves version of Gunther, rather than the tame stroll through the park and tap out in seconds version of Gunther that I'm actually amazed that Pat even made reference to. The Becky and Lyra segment was a little better than last week, but Lyra needs to have a career-defining performance in that match because she's losing that belt for sure. She needs to look strong in defeat like Rhea did in the first Charlotte match, which put her on the map. Yeah, it's the rare occasion where I 100% agree with Blaine. No, it's pretty much all of that is bang on.
Oh my God, the hell has frozen over. Pigs are flying. The Leafs might actually win the cup. The Cowboys might actually make the playoffs. My God.
Not crazy. Don't get crazy now.
I know, exactly.
Don't say something you're going to regret. But yeah, no, I totally agree with every syllable of that.
All right, we're going to jump to the next one. Justin Doss, he says, I'm shocked by the Pat McAfee promo this week, but I have no interest in that match. And he meant it he was impressed by it. I did ask for clarification. That's what he said. So there you go. Pat McAfee's, his promos the past few weeks have been very good. But my one thing, and I don't have an issue with it, but it's kind of funny because it just goes to show you how kind of smart he is as a face, and that's he's very, very much catering to the crowd. And he's very, very much trying to get that crowd reaction so that it sounds great on TV. Very smart move by Pat McAfee there. Joe, everybody loves Joe Aguinaldo. He says the Becky Lyra segment was pretty good. Then he says Indianapolis beating Cleveland was amazing. Hope Leafs goalie is back for the series. Is Seth the heel? Do you think Sammy turns and goes after Jay? Where do the Lakers go from here? Your thoughts on Shadur Sanders. Matt, where do we even start with this one?
Oh, well, let's start with Shadur because we haven't spoken about him. It sure seems like he was just kind of a rude dickhead in his interviews, a little cocky, a little holier than thou, and he doesn't have one skill that jumps out at you. Like he doesn't have a particularly strong arm. He's not like the fastest dude in the league. So it's like, this guy might be a backup quarterback. And do you want the circus of Deion Sanders harassing you and chirping your team for a career backup? So that's why he fell. Having said that, him going to the 5th round, I believe, where the Cleveland Browns picked him, who desperately need a quarterback, and whoever plays well, Cleveland will ride that hot hand. It's a tremendous opportunity for Shedeur Sanders. He got a little bit of a wake-up call. He could shut a lot of doubters up, and it could be huge for Cleveland, the city of Cleveland, and for the player himself. That was shocking, but if you read into it, it's a little less shocking the more you hear how arrogant he apparently was in his interviews, and knowing how much of a backseat driver his dad, primetime neon Deion Sanders, has been and will probably continue to be.
It is no different than the balls in the NBA, and I think that's what every team in the NFL wanted to avoid, because the NFL doesn't put up with shit like that.
Absolutely correct. The NFL does not play that shit, Boris. And it is a little different, but almost worse, almost more annoying, knowing that Deion isn't just some fucking dickhead off the street like LeVar Ball. He is a Hall of Fame player in his own right, and what he says kind of has to carry some weight. So it's almost like you don't even want to invite that circus to town. I totally understand that. 32 teams passing on him 4 to 5 times was shocking, though, for sure.
Yep. Yorkie, this question from Joe's comments is for you. Do you think Sammy turns and goes after Jay?
Yes, but not yet.
Yes, but not yet, he says. Matt, how about you?
I think their friendship is so pure and nice, and Sami Zayn has such a good babyface thing going. I feel like Jay turns on Sammy, and maybe that's after Sammy beats him for the title, or maybe it's down the road to prevent Sammy from beating him for the title. But it's tough because Sami Zayn and Jey Uso are arguably the two best baby faces they have. Do you know what I mean? So I almost think they would be hesitant for one to turn on the other. But once the crowd reactions start to dim a little for Jey Uso, and they will, eventually they will. He's not going to be Stone Cold Steve Austin forever. Once that starts to happen, I feel like Jay is going to turn on Sammy.
I think it's going to be the other way around. So I think Sammy is going to get infatuated with trying to get the world title, and it's going to turn him crazy, and that's the turn.
Maybe. That makes sense. That definitely in story makes perfect sense. It's logical. I can totally see that as well, for sure.
Either or. I like both scenarios. If I were going to pick one, I would say Sammy turns on Jay. I think it's one of those things where Jay's as big of a face as Sammy is, and it's like 1A, 1B type of face on Raw. Besides, I'm not counting Punk in this. I'm just saying in general between those two. I think that Jay is just a bigger face, so Sammy is easier to turn heel. But either scenario that both of you brought up I can see happening 100%.
You know what it is? Sorry, quickly. You know what it is for me is that when Sammy does win that title, that's going to be such a huge cathartic babyface reaction that I don't think they want him to be heel for when he wins his first championship. That doesn't mean that he can't turn on Jay somewhere in this story, though. That doesn't necessarily disqualify that idea completely. But that's why I'm thinking Jay turns on him.
Can I make it a bold prediction already?
Please.
Right, even though I'm not going to watch the event because it's in Saudi Arabia, I'm going to say Sammy wins the Royal Rumble.
I can see that.
Oh.
I can see that. I like it. With it being in Saudi Arabia, I can totally see that.
But then Sammy gets his moment at Mania.
True. I think that's brilliant. That's a great call, Boris, as you touched on, especially with it being in Saudi Arabia and him getting such a hero's welcome when he goes there. Yeah, I can absolutely see that for sure.
Yeah.
Which is going to be good. I don't watch any of the Saudi events, so I'm going to be good to I don't see it.
It's going to be weird not watching a Royal Rumble, but yes, watching a Crown Jewel event. Go figure.
Yeah, right? What a world.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't mind watching a Crown Jewel event if it's in Australia.
Exactly. Jake Eleanor says, regarding the cuts this week, if a company finds value in you, they will keep you. If they don't, make yourself valuable. For every Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, there is a Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre. Guys who left or were cut and made themselves valuable. Matt Cardona is definitely working well on that out on the independent circuit. Most PLEs today are 5 matches, ads, promotion, showing stars from other industries, takes up TV time. There isn't a ton of room in a company that prioritizes profit over everything else. The company is always trying to find the next athletic prodigy it can turn into a star. Hold on, I'm going to pause right there. This whole notion that only WWE is trying to make money is laughable. You do realize every fucking business out there is in it to make money, including AEW. Like, don't think that AEW just does fan service for the sake of doing fan service. They are there to turn a profit.
Absolutely. It's the nature of the beast. And like, I don't know, you could say AEW is slightly more ethical, I guess, but like, I'm sure a lot of people backstage would argue that. I'm sure a lot of people like, you know, they still have their flaws. We've had the whole debate, is benching someone better than cutting them? Who knows? But yeah, it's part of the corporate beast. You can understand it though, but not like enjoy it. You know what I mean? You can like everything that Jake says is totally right.
Yeah.
But that fucking sucks. It's still bad. It's still bad on a human level, and you hate to see it, you know?
Absolutely. That's the thing. But like, let's not forget that every company out there is there to make money. No company is there just to please the fans. They are there to make money. Like, let's wrap our heads around that. WWE isn't the only wrestling company in the world that's trying to make a profit.
Probably PWG or maybe old ECW was the closest to just like for the fans wrestling. And even then, they still had their favorites and they still tried to make money. But like, yeah, AEW, WWE, these are WWE's case, $1 billion, AEW's case, a multi-million-dollar company. Like, they're trying to make money at the end of the day.
And ask RVD and Tommy Dreamer how that went for ECW and their paychecks.
Tommy Dreamer was so mad he wanted to kill Paul Heyman. He almost popped him at WrestleMania 17.
That is still one of the wildest wrestling stories that never happened, but it's just wild that they talk about it so nonchalantly.
They're like, oh yeah, I was going to like suicide myself in the middle of the biggest show in the history of wrestling. It is crazy that they just gloss over that. Tommy Dreamer. I hope he finds peace in life. I'm not sure that he has yet, but it kind of seems like he has.
All right, Jake ends his feedback by saying, and finally, shout out to the great Greg Popovich for an amazing 29 years as head coach of the San Antonio Spurs. Huge part of my NBA fandom, and his 5 NBA championship title runs with Spurs and Duncan, Manu, etc. were just pure entertainment as a fan of the game. Cheers, coach. Kudos to that. Kudos to Greg Popovich. El Jefe.
El Jefe. Yeah, it's funny because like in the early 2000s, they kind of had a reputation for being boring, the Spurs did. But then in like when they won the title against the Miami Heat in like 2013-14-ish, those teams, those battles, LeBron versus Duncan and at the end of his career and young Kawhi and stuff, those are some of the greatest basketball games ever played. I remember at the time people were saying that was the best game I've ever seen, quite often about the Spurs. So yeah, the Spurs almost ruined basketball and then saved it. That's fun.
Yep, sounds about right. That sounds like the Spurs and Greg Popovich right there. But that is that. Again, thank you so much for all of the feedback, throughout the week. Again, best place to leave your voice and leave your opinions by going to the Facebook group. And to do that, all you need to do is go to facebook.com and search for A+ Productions. And that's the group. You can chat with us. There's always some cool threads there. Real quick before we go, there's just so much weird information going out, whether it's official or not official. At the end of the day, until announcements are made, we don't know. And I'm referring to contracts in this AAA WWE acquisition of AAA. There's a lot of hearsay, rumors about Alberto, El Patron, and others being signed to WWE. I'm convinced that all of this is that they took those contracts and they're and what they're actually doing is they're firming up current contracts. They're not cutting anyone just yet. That doesn't mean that they're not going to, but I think right now we're just seeing a lot of legalese about the actual deal that we have no idea what the deal was actually about. And this is what I was talking about. We don't know which assets WWE actually purchased. I don't even think they know fully which assets, including contracts, they purchased. And all of that is being shored up right now. And that's what we're seeing. I don't even want to talk about it overall. I don't want to get into detail, but we don't know. At the end of the day, we don't fucking know. We're hearing that people were signed. We're hearing that it's bullshit. We're hearing that it's legalese. We're hearing that it's alumni contracts. We're hearing that it's this. We're hearing that it's that. At the end of the day, we do not know the details of the purchase of AAA to WWE. Matt, Yorkie, anything?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I was kind of an Alberto Del Rio fan when he came in, El Patron, and then if you look at the allegations against him, they're fucking heinous. I don't think WWE wants to bark up that tree and just open themselves up to that criticism. If they feel like they can make money off him, maybe, but I feel like, as has been speculated, Alberto Del Rio, El Patron, is going to stay in Mexico and going to be a AAA contracted talent paid by WWE, exclusive to Mexico. I do think there are a couple of AAA wrestlers will show up in WWE for sure. Vikingo, he's already been in the fucking crowd in WrestleMania and hit a kick on El Grande Americano, my favorite wrestler.
Latino violence is bullshit. That shouldn't happen.
That's funny. They're like ban him for life from WWE events. He's a fan in the audience. That shit is crazy. What is this? Fucking the Malice in the Palace, Detroit Pistons 04. Come on, grow up. But no, I feel like Vikingo is obviously going to show up in WWE because he already fucking has. But that might be the only one. It might legit be the only one. I don't think Del Rio is showing up in WWE.
El Niño Hamburguesa is going to show up. Like, what are you talking about?
Iguana Man? Let's go.
I honestly do think that this new incarnation of La Parca will show up in some shape, way, or form.
That's possible. And you're better versed in the Lucha Libre than Paul and I are. Yorkie, do you think any AAA people are showing up or what?
I think Vikingo will. Maybe a couple of the ladies. I don't know. I've just been looking. Obviously online, just sit. Do you know of Ernesto Ocampo, Boris?
Yeah.
Is he like the Mexican Meltzer?
Pretty much. But one big difference. He gets shit right.
Well, in that case, then obviously he has posted like the names of people that have been signed signed to a WWE contract. So
yeah.
But from what I've heard, it's just to appear on AEW. Not in AEW. Sorry.
So what?
No, not in to AAA. Just to appear on AAA, not WWE.
So one of the major things that I need to point out is that from a legal point of view, those AAA contracts are worth their weight in shit. They have loopholes in them that can guarantee your way out, that a lot of these AAA wrestlers use to jump ship to CMLL constantly and vice versa. So one of the things that apparently WWE is doing is just firming up certain contracts to ensure that after the Worlds Collide show, we won't be seeing a Stephanie Vaquer type of situation. And CMLL is doing the same thing as we speak.
Makes a lot of sense. And with WWE being such a huge company, as we said a number of times, that makes total sense. Obviously, the billion-dollar conglomerate taking over is going to shore some of that shit up for sure.
Yeah. Anyways, that is that. I just wanted to bring that up real quick. That at the end of the day, we do not know what is happening. And that's that. All right, gentlemen, it has been a long show. We talked way too much wrestling. We should have been talking more soccer. I'm joking. This has been great. It's been a lot of fun being able to chat a little bit of A, a little bit of B, and a little bit of C, and making Matt miss the fact that he's not going to be watching Backlash live. But again, thank you so much, gentlemen, for being here this week. And just remember, I won't be around next week, but there will be a show in some shape, way, or form. And that's what I'm going to say here on the show. So Matt has to do something. He can't get out of it.
I'll figure something out.
Yeah, exactly. Why don't you just read a Dr. Seuss book? Just read a book if you have to. It's still a show.
Fuck yeah.
Right?
Good night, moon. Good night, June. Full walking Simpsons bit. Good night, cow jumping over the moon. Bad walking. Not the best. It's a solid. It's decent. 5 out of 10 walking.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. And as always, thank you to you, the listener, for tuning in and listening to us fucking ramble. Oh my God, I do apologize sometimes, but thank you so much. We really do appreciate the follows, the subscriptions, the likes, the replies, the comments, and everything. Really, we do this show for you, and we just have fun doing it. So thank you, everyone, for listening. And just remember, the best place to find us is you can find us on any podcasting platform, A+ Productions, or if you just want the wrestling stuff, A+ Wrestling. A+Productions.com is the best place to find all of the information for what's happening here on A+ Productions. And over on the Facebook group, like I said, you can be part of the conversation by going to facebook.com and searching for the group A+ Productions. On behalf of the entire A+ Productions crew and Yorkie and Matt, thank you so much for listening, but most importantly, stay tranquilo.